Hello and welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sorry.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin, history, music, and culture.
While drinking a few brews.
Though we don't often use strong language, the jokes and the content is not intended for young audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Before we begin the episode, we have to give a huge shout out to the Dangits from Madison, Wisconsin, for providing us with great bluegrass intro you hear at the beginning of every episode. The song Razzle was written by Jamie Lampkins, but is performed on behalf of Tom Wasselchuk and the Dangits. If you have a chance, check these guys out at dang-its.com for upcoming shows, music, or on how to book them for weddings, parties, and etc. Thank you for listening.
All right, guys, welcome back. This is another episode of Wisconsin Drunken History. My name is Eric.
And I'm Russ.
So we wanted to start the show by talking about a few of our new listeners that we have in Brazil and South Africa. I know that we kind of start this thing every time with a few of the new stats about where people are listening to this from, and I just think it's really crazy that we have people in Brazil and South Africa and a bunch of other countries that are interested in this. And to be quite honest, they're probably going to end up being a little bit more educated on what Russ calls Wisconsinology. I think that's a term that you created, right?
Yeah, it's one I always use. It's a fake one, but
yeah, but I mean, it actually spells it out pretty nicely. So thank you all for listening. We really certainly appreciate it, and we can't thank you enough. So today we have another great episode on Wisconsin events and Wisconsin history. Today we happen to be honing in a little bit more on the inventions that Wisconsin has, and we're going to start with the snowmobile. So this episode is all about the invention of the snowmobile, and we also have great Wisconsin music again. We have a beer review. We have an interview with White Winter Winery in Iron River. And we also have installments of How Many Loco You At? And This Day in Wisconsin History. So without further ado, here we go with the invention of the snowmobile, the Carl Eliason story.
Yeah, so before we begin, I wanted to give my sources that I use that I always tell you guys. So this time I hit up the library pretty hard, and I'm a pretty avid reader, so I read quite a bit. I ended up getting a ton of books on Wisconsin history, and the first source I used was the Wisconsin Story by Dennis McCann. And I also used the official Eliason website, and it's just eliason-snowmobile.com if you guys ever want to go and check it out. There's original pictures, you can look at the patents, everything. So this episode is a hotly debated topic where the true invention of the snowmobile was invented. However, the modern sled we all know and love today was invented right here in the great state of Wisconsin by a
by Vietnam
named Carl J. Eliason. The reason for the debate was the term snowmobile was first spoke by Virgil White, who modified his Model T with skis on the front tires, but was not the modern snowmobile in no way, shape, or form. Carl Eliason was born in the UP and moved with his family to Sainer, Wisconsin in 1909. This is where the first design would be created. The first prototype was built in a small garage behind its general store over the time span of 2 years. To get these parts required to complete the first design, he had to travel all the way to Milwaukee and larger cities to purchase bike parts that were required for the drivetrain and the track assembly. The motor was a 2.5 horsepower liquid-cooled engine mounted in the front of the machine.
That's horsepower, baby.
Oh, yeah. We got 2.5. Which is funny because now like things have like, you know.
They're
you can
extremely
powerful. I know.
It's stupid power.
So this machine featured cleats made of wood, rope-controlled steering, running boards made from downhill skis, and two people that could be seated on the first invention. In 1924, the first prototype would be completed and was given the name of a motor toboggan, and the patent was filed in 1927, listing it as a vehicle for snow travel, and reassembled archaic-looking modern sled. And it's honestly, like, it doesn't really look like it, but it was like kind of the first device that would be the closest to the modern snowmobile that was ever invented.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they really missed out on an opportunity to call it the motoboggan.
It's Motoboggin.
I feel like
it's pretty cool, actually.
That probably could have taken off.
Moggin. He created a model that would haul 3 to 4 people and continued to refine his invention over the next 15 years. With a 4-cylinder engine, the 2-cylinder engine was actually sold for $350 at the time, and the 4-cylinder was $550. And none of them sold would be exactly alike, as they were all custom built by Eliason. Eliason used marketing techniques targeting hunters, utility workers, and outdoor type people, and gradually the word spread and they became very well known through the entire area and the world. In 1926, Eliason snowmobiles were used in the first race, which was held on the Three Lakes area, where there was more than 100 snow buggies which took part in the race. So they weren't just the snowmobile. They were like people coming up with other inventions too, because they saw this invention like, oh, we can kind of try something different.
Right. Everybody's just kind of throwing their hat in the ring at that point to try to get something that'll move across snow with, the motorized type skis and stuff.
And wherever there's a motor, people are going to find a way to race it. I mean, I've seen lawn tractor races,
right.
You know what I mean?
They'll bore it out, put bigger things in it, and it'll just be... It always escalates from there.
Exactly. And after a proposal by the Finnish, they wanted to buy 200 units immediately, and Eliason could not keep up with this sort of order, so he sold out to an automotive company called Four Wheel Drive Company, also known as FWD, in Clintonsville, Wisconsin, with Eliason as the consultant on future designs. The patent was also updated to reflect all the new designs and updates that Eliason came up with. The deal with the Finnish did fall through, as they could not complete in time that was needed by the Finnish government, but the U.S. Army ended up purchasing 150 of the designs to use for defense in Alaska. Eventually, due to demand, a subsidiary plant in Kitchener, Ontario was opened, producing some of the newer model designs.
I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
What in the hell did the U.S. Army need 150 of these things for defense in Alaska?
I think they were worried at this time.
Moose uprising?
Yeah, right. At this time, I think we were kind of in a clutch with Russia still. I mean, they were going through the Bolsheviks and some of the other revolutions, and we were a little concerned about that. So They supplied a lot of them because they were so close in the Bering Strait there that they just wanted somebody and something there just in case.
Got it.
And obviously, they'd be better equipped having these snowmobiles to move quicker through the snow than the Soviets.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. Almost like a leg up.
In 1955, when Polaris started making these devices and patents, they were all beginning to expire, allowing other players into the market, and production began to fall. Though Eliason FWD company continued until 1963, they eventually sold all of the parts to the rights to Carter Brothers in Waterloo, Ontario. And Ski-Doo, the yellow Ski-Doo, would take off where the Eliason company left off. And everybody knows Ski-Doo. It's kind of the big name. Polaris and Ski-Doo are probably the two biggest names, I would say, in snowmobiles right now.
Yeah, I would say that that's a fair assessment for sure. Arctic Cat's up there too, but I feel like the real diehards are like Polaris and Ski-Doo.
But I really felt obligated to bring this guy's name to attention because a lot of snowmobilers don't actually know about him, and he was the father of the modern snowmobile. So Eliason, he's a massive hero of mine. Obviously, I enjoy sledding, and I love winter sports, skiing, sledding, the whole works. I love all of it. But if you ever do get a chance, please head over to the museum that they have in Sainer, Wisconsin, in Vilas County, and check out the Vilas Historical Museum, where the first snowmobile is actually on display. Now, I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode, and please stay tuned for our next segment, which is the music segment. So today's music segment, we actually have a song from a folk artist up in the UP named Charles Supersynski. And I got to give you a little story about how I actually found this song. So we were going around Hurley, around the woods, kind of looking at waterfalls and everything. And this song came on the Copper Peak radio on 102.1 up there, which is funny because we have 102.1 here, the alternative station.
That probably wouldn't be on the 102.1 that we have here in Milwaukee, but a sick song either way.
Yeah, so I was looking all over for this song. When I got home, I wrote down some of the lyrics because I really thought it was a cool song. It's something that really spoke to me for some reason. And so we went searching all over. So I went to Google search. I went, all around Ironwood. I actually went to the Ben Franklin and asked the clerk, I'm like, have you ever heard of this song? Here's some of the lyrics. She's like, no, that might be the Yoopers. I'm like, I don't think it's the Yoopers. Like, I know who they are. They have like the 30 Point Buck.
I was just going to say, they definitely are well known.
Yeah, the 30 Point Buck and their other famous hits, Rusty Chevrolet and stuff.
Yep.
But this song was really cool, and so I ended up doing a lot of searching, and I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna contact Copper Peak Radio.
And just see what
Yeah, and just see if they can maybe
I'm
give
sure
me a
it's
heads
something
up.
they've played before.
And actually, Charlie is one of the heads of the Copper Peak Radio, and
No way.
he wrote the song. And
Wow.
it's a really cool folk song. Again, if you're up in the UP around Ironwood, Michigan, which is basically Hurley, Wisconsin, it's just on the Michigan side, just over the border.
Yeah.
Check out Copper Peak. Obviously, I'm not brave enough. It's a massive old ski jump, but you can go up and up to the top and actually see for miles. I mean, I'm not brave enough to get up there because that thing is huge.
Yeah, that's insane.
But without,
And it's an old ski jump?
yeah, it's an old ski jump that they just kind of use as it's really cool. I mean, it's neat. And if you go there too, they got the Porcupine Mountains. You got Black River with the 4 waterfall chain. It's a cool place to check out.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so without further ado, here's Charlie Supersynski. This song is called Back in Upper Michigan.
This song, titled Back in Upper Michigan, is a reflection of why so many folks enjoy the Upper Peninsula. Oh, how I wish again to be back in Upper Michigan, where living is wholesome and free. 4 seasons are great, I can hardly wait. There's no place that I'd rather be. Lake Superior is in our own backyard. Getting to see it, it's not very hard. No sharks or alligators to bother us there. No hurricanes either to give us a scare. Oh, how I wish again to be back in Upper Michigan, where living is wholesome and free. 4 seasons are great, I can hardly wait. There's no place that I'd rather be. Cool, clear waters abound in our streams, filled with brook trout, every young boy's dreams. Hundreds of lakes here are filled with fish, a sportsman paradise, every angler's wish. Oh, how I wish again to be back in Upper Michigan, where living is wholesome and free. 4 seasons are great, I can hardly wait. There's no place that I'd rather be. Winter snows cover her crags and hills. Many ski slopes provide winter thrills. The snow white of winter, a beauty to behold. For avid outdoorsmen, it's called white gold. Oh, how I wish again to be back in Upper Michigan, where living is wholesome and free. 4 seasons are great, I can hardly wait. There's no place that I'd rather be. If you like the outdoors, there's plenty to do. Hiking trails and waterfalls are all awaiting you. Bring your camera to capture a scene. Fall color is every photographer's dream. Oh, how I wish again to be back in Upper Michigan, where living is wholesome and free. 4 seasons are great, I can hardly wait. There's no place that I'd rather be. There's no place that I'd rather be.
All right, guys. Again, that was Charlie Supersynski, Back in Upper Michigan. What a fantastic tune. I love that it's got that raw feel. That's the thing that drew me the most, was that it's like what you and I used to do, setting up like a little tape recorder. You're on one end of it, I'm on the other end, and we're singing and both playing our guitars at the same time. This brings me back, but it's also just that warm Wisconsin feel.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. Makes you really want to get back up into the UP. If you've never been there, check it out.
Yeah, and honestly, if you haven't been there, the song makes you want to go back and makes you feel like you've been there before. So it's amazing. I love it. So now we have another edition of How Many Loco You At?
And again, if you just want a little refresher of the mathematics behind it, if you have 1 loco, you're at a 4 loco. Obviously, it's the name of the drink.
That's the name of the drink.
But if you've had 2, that's an 8 loco.
Yep.
1.5 is 6 loco. That's just how we do our math.
Exactly. So today's article takes place on July 10th. So a relatively recent interaction with the police. This is Wausau, Wisconsin. So an intoxicated driver caused over 3 blocks worth of damage Thursday night before his vehicle finally came to a stop. I wonder what stopped him. You get 3 blocks worth of damage. And then your vehicle comes to a stop. Okay.
Yeah.
A 61-year-old man making his way through town, just making my way downtown, drinking hard, making stuff up, yeah. Ooh. So he was making his way through town. He struck multiple objects before coming to a stop just outside of Athletic Park. Now, what do you think of that, Russ?
If I could strike 50 times.
Sounds to me like this is Olympic-level drunk driving.
Yeah, this is pretty epic.
And it came to a stop right outside of Athletic Park. So the officers were notified of the erratic driving early in his cruise, and multiple arrived at the scene promptly. So they weren't aware early enough.
No.
So the Wausau Police Department lieutenant said he struck some street signs up at the area of North 18th Street on East Wausau Avenue, and then continued further into town. Struck the private business sign there in the 500 block of Wausau Avenue, and then also struck a parked motor vehicle in the 300 block of East Wausau Avenue. So he really mapped it out for us, exactly what happened here. If you guys want to revisit the crime scene, you certainly can. We've got great descriptions here of exactly where the path followed.
So can you tell me what actually forced his stop?
After the loss of his 2 front tires forced him to stop, the man did not cooperate with officers. He was eventually tased and forcibly removed from his vehicle before being taken via ambulance for medical evaluation.
Oof.
I don't think you need medical evaluation at that point. It's take him straight to the psych ward. This guy's he's off his rocker.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, he blew out his front too, and he is he's done. His car is over with.
Do you think he shouted, "Don't tase me, bro"?
I would imagine if he has teeth, he might have said something like that, but he's 61. He's clearly an alcoholic.
Yep.
Those chompers, those chiclets are gone long ago.
Okay.
Those are things of the past.
All right.
He might have said, "Don't take me, boo." That's how you sound when you don't have teeth and you're an alcoholic.
He was just gumming down some
He
drinks.
was gumming it down.
All right.
He was highly intoxicated, ended up being arrested for OWI and cited for that as well as hit and run.
Oh, man.
So the first object he hit was a stop sign. The next was the sign representing a family business. And the second generation owner of the business recounted his arrival to his business in the morning. I figured that maybe part of the sign would be down, but it was like it was chopped right in half, right up by the building. It's probably a good thing there's other support there. Otherwise, he probably would have done more damage.
Oh my God.
That's intense. We do not encourage anybody to do, driving after drinking, do anything athletic or dangerous after drinking. Drinking is the sport that you do, and then you get a ride home and you're done. Just focus on that. With all this being said, Russ, where do you think this guy is at?
Oof.
I mean, so let's recant really quick, recount rather what happened. So he's 61. He hits 3 blocks worth of stuff, does a ton of damage, nearly takes out a business if the sign wasn't put together well enough, thanks to Wisconsin craftsmanship. And then he blows out his front two. He then doesn't cooperate with officers. He gets tased, and then he goes to the operating room to be operated on.
Yeah. Oof. Man, this might be a 16 loco.
This might be the highest math we've ever done. To
yeah,
be fair.
This one's tough for me to add up. This is 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4.
Floor.
4 to the floor. 4 to the floor.
And floor.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and straight say he's at a 20.
A 20 loco, 5 cans.
Off. He's
Oh.
off, man. He is gone.
Yeah.
And at a certain point of the 4 loco journey, it takes over. It basically replaces your blood in your veins, and you're running on pure amp. You're just going.
Yeah, you're like, this guy's 61, but he's at a fraternity level drink right now.
He's 20 in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is our first case of a 20 loco.
This is the first case of a 20.
Oof. Wow. I don't know what to say to this one, honestly. This is pretty wild. I mean, stuff like this does happen here, but...
Unfortunately. And honestly, the reason that this segment exists is to put so much shame to this poor decision that we so often make here in this state. Don't drink and drive. Just
definitely don't.
Don't.
I mean, in my younger days, I've made some really bad decisions. I'll tell you right now. But, ever since I've grown up, I've always either had a sober driver or, I'd wait, a couple hours at my buddy's house and just, crash on the couch for a couple hours,
Sleep it off and then, go back at it the next day. But don't think that you're invincible and that you won't get caught, because you will. All right. We have another beer to review. So this one is called Fresh Coast. It is a juicy pale ale, and it is from Three Sheeps Brewing.
Yeah, so Fresh Coast is an East Coast style pale ale brewed for the Midwest. Like most of the beers of its style, it pours cloudy, and that's on purpose. The haze lets hop oils linger on the palate, enhancing their naturally citrus and tropical fruit notes. To get that haze, we have cultivate a special Vermont yeast strain that not only used for Fresh Coast. It's a plan to manage for just one beer, but it's worth it. It's the kind of beer you can drink all day with your feet dangling on the lake, because we live on the Fresh Coast, and that's worth celebrating, right? That was right from the can. That's right from their website.
Yeah.
It's a great beer. It's a 4.8% alcohol by volume. It's a hazy pale ale.
Yeah.
Really good tropical notes. I'm getting a lot of citrus out of this. You can taste the haziness kind of stays on your tongue.
Yeah. So the one thing that I noticed after 2 sips here, first one was a giant gulp. I let it sit for a second. Second one is just kind of a normal sip of beer. The thing that I get straight away is the juiciness. Is it tastes primarily like grapefruit-ish. And I don't ever get the bitterness of an IPA.
No, you don't. It has like almost a sweeter finish to it. And actually just kind of bringing it up to my nose, like I'm not like a picky eater, but I'm getting a little bit of a pineapple hint to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very juicy. It's got very fresh flavor of citrus fruits. And like I said, you'd never really introduce the hoppiness. It's not hitting. Even on the back, you hold it in your mouth for a while, 3 sips, 4 sips. I'm not getting it. Yeah,
and if you're not familiar with Three Sheeps, they're actually out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. They make some really great craft beer. These ones specifically, the juicy pale ale that we have here, the Fresh Coast, is actually available all year round. So you can actually go to most places will have it, and you can just go and pick it up.
And honestly, this thing Fresh Coast, it tastes almost shandy-ish, but with a little bit of muscle. It still has the everything brewed behind it makes it that little bit higher ABV, and it has a little bit more of a pungent taste of beer where a shandy might lack. But unlike some more of your typical IPAs and doubles and stuff, it never really hits you with this bitter dryness that you would get with those beers. It stays very refreshing, and it's really good. I haven't had this before. And it's really good.
They don't actually consider this one like a session ale, but the low ABV, it has the full body of like your standard pale ale, but it's like the lower ABV, so you can actually drink this one and not get that over trashed feel, or just tired after having a couple of them where you just crash so hard,
This is probably about my 5th or 6th sip, and I'm finally getting to the point where the back feel on the tongue, the back of the tongue, is a little bit more bitter.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting that too, because I'm kind of taking a break between sips and letting it kind of sit on the back of the tongue. You're getting that little bit of bitterness, but again, if you get a chance, pick this one up. It's called a Fresh Coast Juicy Pale Ale.
It's amazing.
So we're here with John from White Winter Winery up in Iron River, Wisconsin. John, how are you?
Fantastic, thanks.
So, John, obviously I've been to this place. It's great. Can you give us a little bit of information? I know you guys have a lot of meads, ciders, wines. Do you have any new stuff coming out? Any events? I know things with COVID, things have been tough. And what are the current hours looking like for you guys?
Yep, that's a lot of questions in one.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the basics. We specialize in making mead. Which has kind of been our shtick from the outset here, almost 25 years ago now. And we started making cider about 1 year in, so we've been doing cider way before cider was cool. And we started distilling back in 2013. And things have been a little bit different since COVID started. We do most of our tastings outside now. We're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, but we're open other days of the week. 10 to 5 and Sunday 11 to 3.
Awesome. And I know for me, whenever I'm going down Highway 2 up north, that's the one stop I always make is at White Winter. I love it. Can I ask you, who does your artwork? I know you guys got those really cool like sorcerers and stuff on it. It's so cool.
Yep. That original artwork was done by Tonya Sell, and she's an artist that's lived up here all her life. Her folks actually have the Ulu Glass Shop. Her dad, Jim Bojack, is a world-class glass blower. And if you ever get a chance to stop at Ulu Glass, I'd highly recommend it. He does some incredible work. And given the time of year that you might be up, he starts blowing glass in the fall and fires up his studios. So he typically doesn't do it in the summer just because it's too damn hot. But if you're there and he's blowing, a lot of times he'll invite you down to check that out and give it a try.
Yeah, I know. I love the town of Ulu because my family's Finnish. So like up north, it's just cool to have a Finnish named town in Wisconsin. It's really neat.
Yeah. And it's not a place. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It is the town of Ulu, not a town of Ulu, if you know what I mean.
Right. And do you guys have anything new coming out? I mean, obviously we've had a few of your stuff. Anything you recommend us checking out?
Oh golly! Well, this year we came out with the Ass Kickin' Apple Honey Crisp and Jalapeno Spirit. That's 90 proof, and we released that. I think it was in March. We actually did a special release on it, and we sold it for 2020 just because 2020 had been such an ass-kicking year so far.
You're right.
When it came out. So, but that's a fun one.
Awesome.
New one. A little bit of a making lemonade out of lemons on that one. So there's this whole story behind that if you want to talk about that at some point. But
awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to.
That sounds tasty. I might suck down a whole bottle.
Yeah, well, it makes a really great Bloody Mary, which, what else would you do in Wisconsin on a Sunday morning? But
that's how we start.
Bloody Mary.
That's exactly how we started today.
I like that idea.
It was a rough morning for me, so it was nice. I got to the studio here, and Eric made us both a Bloody Mary. We're sitting here waiting, which is the best way to start a day.
Yep.
Well, had I been thinking, I should have had one while I was sitting here chatting with you.
Right? It's the perfect thing for any phone conversation.
Not only will it lighten you up, but it fills your belly. It's the ultimate breakfast in Wisconsin.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that, eating while you're drinking thing all in one.
I love it.
But John, I know you're a Minnesota native, but obviously you're from Wisconsin, technically. So we have some questions to find out. How Wisconsin are you, John?
Oh boy.
We'll see how you fare.
Lay it on me, brother.
All right. Have you ever eaten a squeaky cheese curd?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. That's a staple. Even in Minnesota, you know what I mean? They still have creameries up there. I've been to a couple myself.
Yeah, there's nothing better than a cheese curd warmed up in a cast iron pan.
Oh.
That sounds great.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever
And
tailgated?
Yusta. Have you ever had Yusta?
I have not.
No.
That's the it's like a baked or fried cheese. It's so good.
So
Comes like in a slab, and you can put it in your broiler and heat it up, and it's the best.
Oh, that sounds like heaven.
So coming from up north, have you ever had a pasty? I mean, that's a stupid question.
Okay, so no, that's a loaded question.
Is it?
If
Okay.
my wife was here, I would absolutely say no.
Yeah.
But so pasties are the little things that you put on to cover your nipples, right, at the strip club, or not me, but I mean
That's what I do,
the
yeah.
ladies, right?
That's what I do.
I cover mine when I go swimming.
But I have had a pasty, and pasties are delicious.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny because like from the south of the state, everyone that goes up there, they're like, "Oh, those are pasties." I'm like, "No, they're pasties." So I have to ask it both ways, honestly.
Did I pass?
You
Yeah.
did.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, you pasties.
Have you?
So the pasties you get when you're over in Hurley, so it's the pasties you can get over there too, but it just depends on which street you're on. Silver Street, I guess you get the pasties, and let's see, what would maybe I don't know what
Maybe
Main
like
Street would be with the pasties. So.
Like in Ironwood, I think they call them the pasties. That's why I always have to ask both ways because people know them as both.
Yeah.
In the south of the state, we call them pasties.
Yep.
But when you're up there, they're like, "Oh no, they're pasties," like in their like up north accent,
Well, the reason I said it that way is because Silver Street, pasties, that's where all the strip clubs are.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
So it's
It's there's a small divide.
There's a slew of them.
and I only know that by reputation, not because.
Oh yeah, of course.
I've actually driven a snowmobile to a couple myself. Wink.
Wink, wink.
I'm just kidding. So have you ever tailgated at a Packers game, a Brewers, or a Badgers game? I know you're from Minnesota, so it doesn't matter if you've tailgated anywhere. Well,
I have tailgated, but truth be told, not at those Wisconsin iconic fields.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
We appreciate that, though.
have you ever?
We're actually doing a lot of tailgating here at White Winter these days, because when we have music out on the porch, we only have seating for about 25 people in order to keep appropriate social distancing. But we encourage people to pull into the parking lot, open up the tailgates of their SUVs and Subaru Outbacks and whatnot. And,
Yeah.
have a cocktail and listen to the music from their cars.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the next question I got: have you ever driven a snowmobile to a bar or even a restaurant?
Do I have to answer that?
No, you don't
Well,
have to if you don't want to. You can pass. That's fine.
As long as you were below
That might be
0.08.
self-incriminating.
Yeah, right. Exactly, and that's okay. We're okay with that.
Although you just said drive, you didn't say drive.
And that's why I included the restaurant into that question to not load it.
So we're all good there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Have you ever had a Wisconsin old fashioned with brandy?
Absolutely.
It's a
A
good.
Wisconsin old fashioned with White Winter spirits is to die for.
It's a must.
Yes.
All right, this is a Wisconsin question, and actually, you know what? A lot of people have not done this, but have you ever milked a cow?
Absolutely.
Oh wow, that's pretty incredible.
By hand.
See, the by hand, that's the part that sets you apart from most.
Yeah, everyone uses the suction cups nowadays, but I know I had to milk when I got in trouble.
Right. So as modern parlors have made it an easy task, whereas by hand it's manual labor.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, the next question.
There's nothing like hearing that little ting,
Exactly.
ting as it squirts into the
Right.
stainless steel pail.
Exactly.
All right, the next question I got. Do you eat beer brats? And if so, do you have a beer that you normally use?
Ooh. Well, that's another loaded question because beer brats, yes, but these days we cook them in hard cider
Oh.
or blueberry mead, which is just unbelievable. Yeah.
That sounds incredible. I mean, that's a whole new flavor dimension.
I haven't even thought of that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is there a drink you'd recommend from White Winter to use?
Yeah, well, the hard ciders, like I said, are fantastic. The Sizer is good. The blueberry mead, we do brats and blueberry mead for Blueberry Fest up here every year, and blueberry brats typically from Jim's Meat Market right down the road. So.
Yeah, I know. I know in Bayfield County specifically, they have a lot of blueberry plants. Like you can just walk through the woods and find blueberries.
Yep. The pine forest edge is the best place to find blueberries because they like that acidic soil from the pines.
Oh, I'm into that. Blueberries are my favorite fruit.
Mm-hmm. And they're picking now; they're everywhere.
They don't grow so good down here because we got that limestone base, so they don't do very well. They're okay, but they're just not the best.
Yeah, there's nothing like the flavor of a wild blueberry. No domestic blueberry can stand up to it.
Nice.
All right, John, I got one more question before I let you go. Besides White Winter Winery, is there a brewery or a winery tour that you recommend checking out?
Oh, man. We've got a couple of really great ones up here. Raven's Breath just opened up in Iron River at the other end of town, and we're super happy to have them around. South Shore Brewery over in Ashland, Thirsty Pagan over in Superior, and Earth Rider Brewing. We got the distillery up in Bayfield, Copper Crow, Kurt and Linda Basney's place. Super nice folks. They're still pretty new, maybe 2 years old. And Adventure Brewing just south of Bayfield, and of course Bayfield Winery, Seven Ponds Winery. All those. You can come up and make a tour, a winery, brewery, and distillery tour weekend. So.
Yeah, sounds like we can come up there and just get absolutely plastered and tour some stuff. Responsibly,
Make sure you
of course.
bring your designated driver with
Correct.
you.
Oh, of course.
Exactly. We never allow for the irresponsible drinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been to most of those, and we actually have Thirsty Pagan coming up on one of our episodes, and they were talking about you guys as well.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I used to play music over there every Sunday night with Joe and Sarah, and with the change in COVID, it kind of changed the hours of the music deal. So I'm working every Sunday afternoon when they're playing now. But I hope that we can get back together with those guys on a Sunday evening.
And John, we're both musicians ourselves. What instrument do you play?
I'm a harp guy, a harp hack.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So when you come up, bring your guitars and we'll do
We
some
will.
jamming on the porch. Yeah.
Anytime.
Let's do it.
And
Absolutely.
we'll definitely, eventually we'll have shirts. We have some beer koozies and stuff. So next time I'm in the area, I definitely have to stop and say hello.
Yeah, well, do that, and bring your gear. We've got fantastic internet access up here, high speed, and you can do your podcast right from here.
Awesome.
We'd love to have you.
We'll
Sounds
take you
great.
up on that.
John, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, then we can really dive into the history of mead.
We will.
I would love to.
I would love to.
All right. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your Sunday.
Hey, you too. Take care.
All right, bye.
All right, so we have another edition of This Day in Wisco History.
So on this day, August 9th of 1793, the founder of Milwaukee was born. His name was Solomon Juneau.
All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, we recommend you subscribe via SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Also, leave us a review on any one of those above mentioned sites, and we can read one at the end of every show. follow us on social media, and feel free to reach out, especially if there is a piece of history or weird news you'd love us to share or research, as well as highlight some local artists or music. Our website is projectcapestudio.com.
I'd also like to thank my friend and past coworker Steph Skiback for providing us with awesome podcast cover art, as well as the Dangits for intro and outro music, and all of you for listening. As always,
Watch out for deer on the way home.